So, the other day, Epic Games released their open alpha for Unreal Engine 5, showcasing one of the most powerful game engines to the world and letting us all tinker in it for free. I of course gave it a go and made a scene to test the brand new real-time and dynamic lumen global illumination system, which hopes to replace the old baking system, which takes a lot of time and restricts developers to more static scenes or complicated tricks to get around that. Anyway, so I thought to myself, surely in 2021 Unity had at least some dynamic real-time GI system, however crappy it may be. Well, sort of. It wasn't easy to find, that's for sure. And just a disclaimer, I won't be covering ray tracing in this video since Lumen also isn't hardware ray tracing and setting it up isn't too hard, and there are also quite a few other tutorials on how to do it. Anyway, after about half an hour of looking through different settings, I realised it wasn't going to be as easy as just flipping a switch before getting beautiful results. So I started to look elsewhere, specifically to GitHub for some help. Which is where I found Segi, which is a Unity package that simulates GI dynamically and in real time by using voxel tracing. I don't really know what that means, but I did give it a try and will show you how to use it. It's made by the same guys who made the very popular Minecraft shaders. But first, some pros and cons of this method. Segi only works on the universal render pipeline and standard render pipeline in Unity 2021.1.7, which was what I was using, meaning it didn't work on HDRP, at least for me. It also only simulates GI for the main directional light in a scene, making it great for outdoor scenes but not ideal for indoor scenes with many light sources. So let's set that up. So first I'm going to make a new project in the standard render pipeline for the demonstration. I'm going to drag and drop the Segi package file into the Unity assets to install it. And then we need to set the color space to linear. This is always a good idea and renders color in a much nicer way in pretty much all projects. We also need to set the rendering path of our cameras to deferred. I'm just going to do this to the main camera in my scene. Next up, we've got to add the Segi Asset to our main camera. I'm just going to drag and drop that there. We also need to drag and drop our sun, which is the main light, into the Segi Asset and assign its color so Segi knows what the properties of our light has. I'm just going to make a quick demo scene to go with that. And that's it. We have fully dynamic GI in a Unity project. It works incredibly well and you can go ahead and adjust the settings until you get your desired effect. Here you can see the bouncing of the yellow, red and blue and green objects, which is the light being bounced around the scene. Segi is a brilliant package that works incredibly well in the large majority of cases, especially when using URP or the standard render pipeline. However, if you're wanting access to some of the features of HDRP, like volumetrics or the better particle systems, we're going to have a look elsewhere. After some searching, I was going to give up. Nothing I found was working in HDRP, until I asked Reddit, of course. A lovely guy replied to my post asking for real-time GI and pointed me in the direction of Screenspace Gi system in HDRP, something Unity must have kept pretty quiet about since it took me several hours and a Reddit post to find it. Screenspace Gi is a method similar to ray tracing but more performant since it only applies to things directly in the view of the camera. This means that the GI will not be affected by things off of the screen, sometimes giving this weird, less realistic effects and artifacts, but in most cases it's going to be fine for the average user. On the plus side, it works for HDRP, although only in HDRP, and gives a relatively realistic effect for those things on the screen. So here's how we're going to set it up. We're going to need to use a HDRP project here, obviously. It doesn't matter if we upgrade one or make a new one. I'll just delete all the default assets. I then need a new HDRP asset, which I'll make and assign in the graphics settings. We then need to go to the default HDRP settings, scroll down to lighting and tick Screenspace Global Illumination. This will be greyed out if you're not using the camera as the default frame settings, or if you didn't make a new HDRP asset. We also need to make sure the colour space is set to linear, and the render path is set to deferred for our cameras. Next up, we make a global volume for our scene, and add the HDRI sky as an override. I just downloaded some sky cube maps from the asset store for free, and we'll pop them on there. Then we need to go to the lighting settings again, found here, and set the profile to be the global volume we just made, and the static lighting to be our HDRI sky. Now we need to go back to the global volume and add the Screenspace Gi override and the indirect lighting controller here. I made another test scene here and can just fiddle with those settings until I get something I like for both rooms. The SSGI effect is much more subtle than Segi, however I think it still makes a massive difference to how the scene looks and can add a whole lot of realism to the lighting. Are either of these options as good as Lumen from UE5? No. Are they much better dynamic solutions than Unity seems to offer by default? Absolutely. They can offer very good results and still remain very performant in both cases, and are most importantly dynamic, giving you the freedom to have as much of the scene as you want, move about and react to physics or whatever. I hope this tutorial or devlog was useful and has helped you get a better real-time GI effect in Unity. If you liked the video, a quick subscription wouldn't do any harm, so, go on, give it a press.